A redout occurs when the body experiences a negative G-force sufficient to cause the blood flow from the lower parts of the body to the head. It is an inverse effect of a greyout, where blood flows away from the head to the lower parts of the body. And the negative G's you will feel. No, that wasn't a prison rape innuendo, for fuck's sakes. So, Redout, a game that I picked up a while back when I had the cravings for a racing game that was not a rally, one of the dirt pretentious series, or old. I remember that there was another type of a racer that I had not played a lot before. A rather sparse yet quite unusual, the so-called anti-gravity games. Basically, these are racing games that are usually a futuristic track warping, bending, and all-round head spinning, as you can tell already. These types of games saw slight uprise back in late 90s and early 2000s, but since then nothing really has been present and modern, until good folks at 34 Big Things developed Redout. I mean, sure, there was Wipeout too. Good? You satisfied? Anyways, even before looking up the info for the game, I could easily tell that it was built on Unreal Engine, and I'll return to that in a bit. But first, the good. Visually, the game uses model flat shading that reveals triangles on surfaces more than the smooth shading that we're all too used to. This style seems to be making a comeback in recent years, and frankly, when used right, it sure as fuck looks artistic, which Redout completely owns. Add a rather colorful palette and you got a rather simple yet effective visual design that is eye-catching. Overall, the game is futuristic fantasy, unlike many other peers in the genre that take the futuristic realism or science fiction approach. Yes, there is a difference, so look it up, you Philistine. And no, I'm just not clubbering words together today to sound smart. I just happen to have picked up a thesaurus today. But seriously, if you are into a more vibrant and more somewhat trippy experience, this is a game for you. On top of that, a good game knows how to differentiate its gameplay with different environments, and the case of ice, jungle, desert, lava, space, etc. is strong with Redout. Also, a good game knows how to differentiate its environments with unique traits and music, which, once more, Redout pulls off. As for tracks, well, you can expect everything that a typical anti-G game would have. Tubes, twists, loops, a steroid injection, and a blowjob. No, wait, that's from a different list. Tracks. Yes, the interesting bit is that Redout utilizes teleports quite a bit to mix and match track portions, and I find that a simple yet ingenious way to create quite a bit of variety. Yes, other games have done this before, but still, a good idea is a good idea, right? As for controls, you have your typical thruster to pound that track, left and right turns, a brake that you literally can toss into the garbage unless you're some sort of a pussy in a dire need of getting good, and additionally, you control the strafe left, right, and pitch up or down. These add to the level of complexity and the finger dexterity as well as coordination required. Oh, and as for the brake. Yeah, the tracks are good enough that you never really need to touch it, and if you do, you most definitely are doing something wrong. And speaking of the wrong parts, torching your eyes. I mean, let's get into the bad stuff. Starting with the aforementioned music. Yes, from stage to stage it changes, but first off, there's only one song per stage, and not all of them are even okay. One in particular is pretty horrible. I want to murder everyone! Yes, that sometimes happens when I smell absolute trash. I mean, dubstep in the air. I get it that the game's theme is electro, but come on, metal would be absolutely great, and maybe more tracks too? Oh, also, I noticed that some tracks are designed to play more or less during specific moments in the track, if you fly fast enough. And I really like that, but unfortunately, it's a rare instance. And this game could have earned so much more virtual meth crystals or cookies, take your pick, if only music fitted more. As for the tracks, well, yes, there is a progression in your driving, flying, pimp mobiles or whatever, but the faster you go, the more let loose you want to be. But you can't. For me, the tracks just feel too narrow, and I find myself even on more perfect runs, still running into wall on a too tight of a turn. The thing is, the faster you move, the more you need to focus on driving, flying, floating, masturbating? I don't know anymore. But you basically can't get a moment's rest to actually look around and enjoy the scenery. It's a shame because the level design is beautiful. Besides, who doesn't love a good perfect run at a full thrust? But now, on to more meaty bits. No, there is no real story, and no, the progression too is almost non-existent. There are ship tiers and there are upgrades for them, even boosting abilities, but in all honesty, it all kind of feels pointless after you realize that the boost ability and extra handling passive are the only worthwhile ones, no matter which ship you take. This is definitely an area where Redout is like a ghost town. A list of all tracks unlocked right away, just pick whatever you want and go. A good pick 'em up game, but not really a meaningful one. And so we have come to the worst part, the visuals. Yes, I said that I love the style, and this is why the overall visuals are a part bad thing. In simple terms, as I play and race around, the screen constantly feels very grainy. Imagine turning up the TV static and trying to play the game that's underneath the static layer. That's how it feels, at least to me. First, I feel that this is part of Unreal Engine's fault, because the engine is, at least in my experience, never been able to render fast-moving things that well, and its dissolve effect is just weird. Or was it pop-in effect? Whatever, you get the point. Well, in any case, a big part of the blame also goes on the effects that appear on the textures and the textures themselves. They're too detailed. Yes, oddly, for a super fast-paced game, the more detailed the texture is, the more grainy the overall experience will be for the player. Oh, and the whole speed, wind, overlay thing, you know, the stupid lines on the side, as well as the camera shake, make the experience worse and worse. See, both need to be utilized when the craft reaches above normal speeds to visually indicate it. That is true, but in Redout, the camera and the ship shakes too much. Again, ruining the visual experience way too often. Thing is, visually, Vertex maps, for me, due to their simplicity, are one of the two favorites, and if not for the grainy feeling, I would enjoy them a lot more. The other favorite one is the volcano thing, because it's basically just trippy atmosphere and tracks are just rather weird. Seriously though, level designers had done really well here on both. So in the end, after stomach turning, eye bleeding and brain hemorrhage filled adventures, how is Redout? Well, it lacks substance in the story or meaning, but in gameplay, well, it's almost fucking perfect. The level design and the proper approach to the simple yet effective design, the thematical and tonal shifts between stages, I really love it all. And this is why I keep picking up the game whenever I need my fill of chill and speed. Though the chilling phase soon is over, as I need to focus on not smacking myself into the fucking wall, leaving only a TheYamiks logo from that massive pancake that could be.